Hello and welcome to another online video here. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit interesting, or at least a little bit different. Some of you might be wondering kind of where things are. There's not been a whole lot of stuff, coming out of the blog or anything like that. Or you might not. I'm sure my boss is wondering where things are. But what I've been working on over the past little while is taking a look at our cloud strategy and trying to build out some examples that are actually kind of pertinent to the type of development and the type of deployments that you're going to be doing. One of the things that really bugs me about a lot of blog postings and things like that on the cloud is, they'll talk about, how do you take a standard Drupal installation and put it on the cloud? How do you take a standard WordPress installation and put it on the cloud? And, there's good information in there, but really, I kind of find that a little bit, I guess, boring. I don't want to really, knock the people who are doing it, because it takes a little bit of work to put these things together. But what I'd like to see is something that is very pertinent and very that demonstrates the benefits of working in the cloud. And so what I've been working on for the past little while is building out an application that actually does that. Right now it's running on it's built for the Amazon cloud. But as things move forward, we'll add some things in there. But the example isn't quite done. I want to build this nice big thing that uses job queues, uses Zen Server Cluster Manager, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I'm getting on the way there. I'm getting pretty close to it. But I wanted to give you a bit of a rundown as to where I was so far. So I've built out an application, and I want to build this in such a way that I can deploy it to the cloud, I can deploy it locally, and that it just basically works wherever you want to do. So what I'm doing is I'm actually using some of the content that I use in my deployment webinar. If we go to eSchrade.com and we go to deployment, I have one here called PHP deployment using RPM and Yum, and there's a whole bunch of information here, which is all kind of interesting. But I'm actually taking this to a little bit of another level here, and I've set up a repository elsewhere. And let's just kind of take a look and see what we actually have there. I have my build directories here. You can see I've been testing this one out, but I've added a couple of new packages to this. First of all, this is it's a cloud-based application, and so I want to use some of the simple cloud functionality, which isn't in Zen Framework quite yet. So what I've done here is I've created an RPM spec file for actually building my own or building the Zen Cloud package, so I can create dependencies for it. So I just basically do an export of where I have it. I could do an export off of the Zen Framework SVN repository as well, but I made a couple of changes in here and additions. So I do an export of there and just do a simple export. If you're wondering what's all in here, take a look at the blog post and you'll see all that there. I've got another one called ticketing. This one actually contains all of the information or the actual application in there. And I define my release, define my version, and I give it my name. It's called Cloud Ticketing. Now, here's the fun part. It's the actual dependencies in here that I've set up. So I have my Zen Cloud. I have Zen Framework, or Zen Server Framework. This is the framework version that is deployed with Zen Server. Then I have another one here called Ticket App Server Config. That's another package that I have here. And what this one basically does is it takes my local configuration and it will replace it on the cloud machine, and so it'll actually get the application up and running and ready to go. And the goal is to do this with very minimal configuration. So what I do is I have my server, in here I have my user local Zen GUI application data Zen server user.ini file. That contains the password for the GUI. I'm going to need that later on when I actually use the Zen Server Cluster Manager, because I need the password to actually set this stuff up. So I keep that file there and I deploy it as part of my application so that I can have it automatically register itself with the Cluster Manager. Then I have the global directives in here. What that does is it contains the license key for Zen Server. So I have that in there. I have my php.ini, which the primary reason for having it there is that it's got my include path set up to include the Zen Cloud. And then I have an additional configuration for the web server called aws.conf, and that one's actually really simple. It's just creating a named virtual host, and the reason I do that is there's actually a good reason for that, and I'll tell you that in a bit. I set up my directory permissions, and the primary reason is to do this allow override all, so that way I can run a Zen Framework MVC based application. Then what I have is the actual virtual host. Now the reason I did this in a virtual host instead of using the document root is that by default the Amazon AMI instances, they don't, though they have the standard application configuration, which I really don't want to use, or the standard web server configuration, which I don't want to use because I want to be able to set up my own directory structure and things like that. So if you want to do that, then setting up your document root to point at this directory here is actually going to cause Apache to fail. So what I've done is I put it as a named virtual host, and because I only have one, there's only going to be one place that it goes to, but because this directory may not exist when I actually create the application, then Apache will still load up. It'll just give me a warning. So that's actually kind of a useful thing to be able to use the document or the virtual hosts in that manner. So it'll pretty much go up and running. So this is kind of the setup that we have. I have it pushed off to a Yum repository that I have on a public server. We actually look at this. It's basically just doing SCP recursive with permissions to there, and it uses public key encryption or public key authentication to do that. So the first thing we need to do is actually get an AMI up and running. So I'm just going to, this is my AWS Management Console, obviously. We'll click on Launch Instance. And I'm going to do, it's a small Fedora Core 8 64-bit. Click Select. I'm going to use just the smallest one I've got there because I'm cheap. And plus it's just a demo. This stuff, I haven't set any of this stuff up, so I'm just going to ignore it and hit, well, we'll let it load. Give it some time to load, and hit continue. The key pairs are how you will actually log into the AWS instance. This is the same way as we were doing that SCP. You use this key pair to log in as root without having to have a password. So all you need is this key pair, which there's already, there's information on how to connect in with that on the AWS instance, but it's just basically your simple public-private key authentication. So click on continue, and then we're going to choose our security group. This is basically like your firewall. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up SSH, HTTP, and the Zen Server GUI, which I've already defined ahead of time, what you can do in here, but I've already got it defined here. This Zen Server GUI, right now it's opened up to my IP address only, but what we would actually do when we get the full-blown thing up and running, we'll have that open up to the Zen Server Cluster Manager GUI so that it can actually make the registration go on there. So we'll click on Continue. Everything looks good here. We'll click on Launch and kind of wait for this thing to come up. Now what we need to do while we're waiting for that is here, let me go to here, and I will need to set up a this one, yes, my repository on my new AMI instance when it comes up. So I'll just copy that in. What this basically does is sets up the Zen server and then also the application repository as well. So what we'll do then, actually I'll just leave that there because I can't even really copy it. Okay, we're up and running. Great. That's actually quite easy to do. So now what we want to do is we want to actually connect to it to kind of get everything up and running just the way you normally would, when you're administering a server. So I'll go here to Instance Actions and I'll click on Connect. And what this does is it gives me the command line that I need to connect into it. I've got my PEM file already there. So I'll just go here to my my desktop, which I'm in the desktop, which is where my PEM file is. Hit enter and wait. This sometimes happens when you're waiting for the server to come up. It just the SSH daemon isn't ready to go quite yet. Wait a little bit longer. And so we'll take that and we will paste it in, hit enter. Do we want to connect? Of course we do. And we're logged into our AMI image. So now what I'll do is I'll set up my my repository and copy that and paste that. And then, because of all the dependencies I've set up and all the files I've downloaded, yum -y install cloud ticketing, which is the name of the package that actually has the application in there. So we'll hit enter. Are you ready to go? Is it working? Yeah, so far it seems pretty good. So this is going to take a little bit of time. So what we'll do is we will give you a little bit of music listening enjoyment. This is, I think, pertinent given what we're doing. Alright, that looks like we've got everything up and running. I think. We'll see if that actually turns into an issue. We'll first try this page. Actually, no, we will take this and we'll go to the Zen Server GUI. And does my password work? Yes, it does. Automatic setup has worked there. We'll go here and try this again, see if that is an actual error. And we have our application up and running. So that's where we're at so far. Hopefully in the next couple of days, maybe a week or two, maybe a little longer, we'll see. We'll have an application up for you here, and it's going to sell. Right now we have 125 tickets, and that's the system I'm testing on. I'm expecting there to be several times more. So with that, that's what I'm doing. If that interests you, great. If not, nothing I can do about that. So we'll see you again. Check out the blog, have some fun, and it's a good weekend. So have yourselves a good one. Take care.